Computer Programming Essentials, Unit 2, Part 2. When we were last in Part 1, we looked at some terminology and we started talking about the process of how Java programs are created and run. And here's our first Java program. Look at the word in the box, look at the words in kind of teal. Those are keywords. They mean something special to Java, and so we always have to use the keywords exactly as they're given and not try to change them. Java is case sensitive. That means uppercase has a different meaning than lowercase. So notice that all of the keywords are all in lowercase, and that's the way it is with all keywords. They are always in all lowercase. Everything in Java must be part of a class. This particular class has the name FIRST, F-I-R-S-T. All classes must be named with an identifier. And the rules for naming identifiers are they must begin with a letter, they cannot begin with a digit, no spaces, no special characters, and they can't be a keyword. So keeping in mind those rules for identifiers, let's go back just a minute and look at the first line, public class first. First follows the word class. That means it is the name of the class, and it is first, F-I-R-S-T. It starts with an uppercase letter, so it must start with a letter, and that's correct. And it doesn't have any spaces or any special characters, and it's not a reserved word. So that fits the requirements for naming identifiers. First is the name of this class. For the indentation style, I am going to require that you indent with the curly braces and indent your code as given in the book, as we're going to follow the model in the book. The reason that we want to do this is because we want to write code that is easier to debug, modify, and maintain. We want to write code that's going to be easier for someone else coming along looking at our code to figure out what we're doing. Java doesn't care. We could put all of our code all on one line and Java would be fine. Java does not care about indentation, but the programmer cares. And I believe that writing code that's easy to read is half the battle. And so I'm going to be very insistent on it, and it will be part of the grading rubric for all of your programs. We will place the open curly brace underneath the P in public and the closed curly brace in the same column after the code block. So for example, let's go back just a second. Look at that open curly brace underneath the P in public, as in public class first, and the closing brace is down there at the bottom, the very last line in the box, and it lines up with the open brace. See how you could draw a line from the open brace to the closed brace and not run into anything? That's the appropriate model of indentation to follow. Take a moment to look on your keyboard and try to find those curly braces. They're near the return key or the enter key, and you probably have to press shift to get them. But those curly braces are how we mark the beginning and the end of a code block in Java. In this case, with public class first, they mark the beginning and the end of the class. Oops, sorry, I could have gone ahead. Also notice in this class that we've got a main method, public static void main string args. That's called a main method. Every Java program has exactly one main method, and it is the entry point into your program. If you've ever played Monopoly, you know that everybody in Monopoly starts on the go square. You position your piece on the square go, and that's where everybody starts. The same is true in Java in that everybody starts in the main method. That's the first method that's run in your Java application. You might also take a look at the figure 1.6 here from your textbook, the different parts that are included in this program. Public is an access specifier. It is a keyword, marks the beginning of the class. The word class identifies this as a class. We will always have public class as the first line in our programs. There are other things besides classes which you can learn about as you progress with your programming skills. First is the name of the class, followed by a set of curly braces, an open brace, and a corresponding closed brace that denote the contents or the body of the class. Let's take a look at this statement that produces output. In this program, when we go to the main method, and that's the first method that's run, it says main there. And what follows inside that the open and close brace for main, system.out.println, first Java application. If we were to run this program, the words first Java application would be output to the screen, output to the output window in NetBeans. Notice that first Java application is in double quotes. Those double quotes mean that this is a string literal or a string constant, and what's in the double quotes is exactly what will be displayed on the screen. System.out.println is a method that produces output. So anything in the parentheses is the argument that we are sending to the println method so it can do its job. So in this case, we're sending first Java application, and that's exactly what println will print. It will print first Java application. We need to save our Java classes so that we can run them again. And to save, we save our class with the exact same name as the class, followed by the .java file extension. In NetBeans, it'll do this for you automatically, so it will make life easy and you won't have to worry about it. For public classes, and all of our classes in this particular course will be public, the file name must match the class name exactly, with the exception of that file extension. Syntax errors. A syntax error is when you don't form your statements in a way that Java can understand. So when you get a syntax error, and I like to applaud syntax errors, you learn more from mistakes than success. And so I think that getting some syntax errors is a sign that you're trying, and I applaud syntax errors. It's also fun to know how to debug them, how to solve your syntax errors. And the error will produce the first line of the error message. Will say the name of the file where the error was found, and the line number. What line did it find that error on? And then the nature of the error. Sometimes this is helpful and sometimes it's not. End of statement expected. What does that mean exactly? I mean, that's an example of an error message, and it'll take a while to get familiar to the way that the errors are being displayed in a way such that you can debug them. The next lines identify the symbol and the location. So if you take a look at the error messages when you get them, and we'll get them in class and go over them quite a bit, you'll become a bit of a detective as you try to put together the pieces of information that it's giving you. A syntax error is a compile time error. It happens before the program can run at all. A compile time error is caught by the compiler, and it is a violation of language rules. It means that your program cannot be translated into machine code or bytecode. It cannot be run on the computer as long as there's a syntax error. Logic errors, conversely, are errors that your statements are formed correctly. You've followed all the rules, everything is fine, your program runs on the computer, but it doesn't produce the output that you expect. For example, if you wanted to give someone a discount for anybody who's under 14 or over 65, they get into the movies for less money, and your program doesn't do that, let's say it doesn't give them the discount, that's an example of a logic error. It doesn't do what you wanted it to. Logic errors generally occur at runtime, so they'll compile just fine, but they won't run fine. And this is why we need to test our programs quite a bit. We need to develop a robust testing methodology such that we can make sure that we catch all of the logic errors.